Hello, everyone. We are back here with Conversations. Today, we have Amal Ballu with us. And Amal is a very special person, at least for me. I have seen her grow and I've seen her doing many beautiful things here in Canada. She has been working with visible minorities in building capacity, fostering independence, more than that, being a mother of a child with abilities. She has grown passionate about creating inclusive learning environments through community education and engagement. She has developed NASMAI Enterprise, which focuses on promoting health and well-being with cultural competencies. Hello, thank you for joining us, Amal.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, Kamaljit.
Yeah, it's so beautiful to have known you and seeing you doing such beautiful things. And even I saw your video on YouTube, which you have created. It's beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah. Again, thank you very much for allowing me to share my story with you and with the beautiful project that you have set up as well. I can't believe that it's been almost, since 2015, 6 years that we worked together when I was just starting as a volunteer with ISS of BC. And it was lovely working with you at that time, and then how we kind of went separate ways, but we still, I guess, continued with our passions and the things that we love to do and working with people, really. Yeah. For me, it's one of the things that excites me. It just allows me to, have like discoveries about myself, about others, and it just really, I'm always at a place of inspiration when I'm working with people. So yeah, thank you very much for that.
Yes. Amal, tell me about when you came to Canada, how you came and what was your initial experience? How did you feel? Just a little bit.
Well, when I came to Canada, you can say twice. I came first in 1996, and that was with my husband, and I was a young bride then. He came as a student, and I just came as, in company with him. So I was a visitor, my status. And then, of course, because, we come from a place of conflict. Unfortunately, Libya is where I'm originally from. And since there was always instability there, we thought, we thought of our children and we thought of the future, and we thought, how great it would be to have stability for our children, safety for our children. That's when we applied for the residency in Canada. And just like any young couple, we had our dreams and our plans, and we basically had so much to think about. We thought about school, we thought about work, and we just loved being here with our community. There was a big Arabic Muslim community that we basically fell right into, and that was the start of everything. And then we had our first child, Karim, and that kind of solidified what we needed to do, because he was born hard of hearing. He was born deaf and hard of hearing. And it was, like a blast for me as a new mother, who had dreams of doing other things, and basically, putting my child in daycare. I was very excited about parenting, but I didn't think that I was going to have the extra challenge of, just kind of navigating what it meant to be a young mother with a child with a disability, or raising a child with a disability, what it meant being away from my family, what it meant being away from my support system, being away from, I was grateful that I had English as I was fluent in English. So I can read information, I can, communicate with the doctors. I was fine there, but the emotional and social support was difficult. And also, I I couldn't do things that I wanted to do with my friends because I felt like I had to do other things. I had to, I had multiple doctor's appointments to go to. I had to learn. I had support groups that I wanted to join and to learn about, just what it meant to be deaf. And for me, it's very interesting. I came from a background, where my uncles were writers. My father is a writer. They would write articles in magazines, newsletters and things, and they were always proactive in that. And I felt, how am I going to have my child involved in all of this literary kind of, and how am I going to communicate? How am I going to teach him about the culture? So it was a very, kind of intense time, in 98 and 2000. And then, I just kind of basically had to think about, that was my priority. So I had to shift my priority from kind of building my capacity and going to school, finding a job, thinking about my career, to focusing my priority on my child and my family. And that's how my journey started. And then in 2010, my husband, of course, because again, coming as a first generation immigrant to Canada, it's always about, finding your niche, kind of your employment. Sometimes you have to switch careers. It's all about finding the sustenance for your family and keeping it, being the provider, again, for men of our culture to kind of play that role, but also kind of navigate the system and how to continue that role and not fall into, the welfare system, for example. Understandings of welfare is also different from our culture and here. So it was a little bit of, trying to find employment, and he found it overseas. So that's when we thought, okay, we can't be separated longer than a year or 2 years. So we moved after obtaining, of course, citizenship. We moved back next to family, near family. And then it didn't work out because, the war broke in 2011. So we sold our house in London, Ontario, went to Libya. The war broke in Libya. We came back 2014 in Vancouver. And again, of course, Canada is such a vast and beautiful and diverse place. Ontario, BC is like moving to two different countries.
Yeah.
Although the systems are similar, but you had to start over. Coming to BC, it's beautiful. The people here are amazing, very diverse cultures, nature, environmentally friendly. My kids loved the transit, the freedom, the mobility freedom that they had, because of, and also the weather, the landscapes. It was just an amazing place. I remember one of the things that my daughter told me, she was still 14 years old, starting high school. And she looked at the mountains one day as we were commuting on the SkyTrain. And she said, "Mama, do you think we'll ever lose that wonder of seeing the mountains?" And I'm like, I hope we never will, because it was like a magical, and I think we needed that after being, through the experience that we had to go through at the time of conflict. I think we came here and it was just, the landscape was so inviting. So yeah, and then of course we started learning about what our situation, or how we are situated here on the land. And I think coming to BC made us more aware of where we are as first generation immigrants, as settlers, the Indigenous community. So thinking about the community at large. And it just allowed us, being in BC, I think allowed us to become more aware of that, of our responsibility towards our community, towards the members of our community and who they are and where we belong in all of this. So yeah, it's been a wonderful experience.
Yes. And how did you grow with your child? How did you start the various programs of learning, and again, coming back to your professional life?
Mm-hmm.
How did you balance that out, and what helped you the most, and how you could help your child?
It's funny because when I first started my career, I started as an ESL teacher, and it's all about the English language, right? And of course, for me, I think it was more of a political statement because in the 80s, the dictatorship decided that Libyans weren't allowed to learn English, okay, because of course it was connected to imperialism and so on. So it was omitted from our curriculums in Libya. So for me, becoming an English teacher was my way of resisting that. And it wasn't, at that time, it was, teaching English was open, but it's like the damage has already been done. And a lot of people have missed out for so many years. So I kind of started as an ESL teacher at the age of 22, and I continued. And teaching has always been, at the core of what I do. I just love to teach. I'm a daughter of actually, my father was a professor in university, and my mother is a French teacher.
Wow.
So it's all about, languages. It's all about kind of communicating in language, right?
Yeah.
The English or French or Arabic. And that's all I knew. But then when I had Karim, and I started learning about, is it language or is it communication, right? And then when he went to school, is it academics or is it well-being that we're looking for, right?
Yeah.
And then it kind of shifted my learning of things where I found myself becoming a lifelong learner, so to say, or at least I kind of told myself that I have to stop everything and I have to try to unlearn the things that I learned, and then just what is best for my son. Really, what is best for my son? What is best for my son in our family? Like, what is the best learning for us as a family, as a unique unit, right? Because I believe that every family is unique and different. And
Yeah.
no matter, and yes, I understand children with diverse abilities have diagnoses and they have, medical interventions that are similar. Yes. However, I believe that the mother and the father and the family as a whole are the ones who are first to decide what is best for them. And I guess that's how I kind of moved from being a teacher, an ESL teacher, where my profession as an ESL teacher, or at least my skills in teaching, helped me with his therapy, helped me with kind of making plans for the therapy. It helped me kind of create, that session that we do with the therapist. And then of course I take my homework and go home and try it with my son to the best of my ability. It was one of the biggest challenges, I think, for me, to sit with him. And it was with Karim, of course, it was painfully slow in a way. Compared to his peers, he was the slowest simply because he had, a different condition. So it was even slower. And I think I was, as a young mom again, I was sometimes impatient, but it really just taught me everything takes time. Everything will happen in its natural course. And everything is just basically kind of find connections, to create meaning of your situation. And now in retrospect, I think that every stop in my life somehow, or every destination in my life of this journey is connected, although sometimes we think it's fragmented, Sometimes we think things happen haphazardly, but really if we sit down and we connect them, we can find meaning.
How was the school? Like, what was the support you got from the school system? Maybe the school district, or any special needs teachers and programs. Did
Yeah.
they intervene, and how did they serve the purpose? Like, did they support? Or
Well, in the beginning, it was very I mean, I had to say I was kind of in a daze, to be honest. It was, I mean, again, I was fluent in English, but I lacking the support systems. I was just trying to figure out what's happening and what to expect. Um, Karim was diagnosed obviously by his family doctor and then went to specialists. And then, of course, the specialists would give us letters. And then when we go to the school system, you know, he would have an individual education plan. So that was devised by the teachers. And of course, we had our say. But, you know, you're thinking, I don't know. I mean, you're the experts. I don't know. And I think I things only started to make sense only when I somehow started to decide that I had agency, right?
Yeah.
I was the mother that was spending most of my day with my son. I know his character. I know his flaws, and I know what works with him and what doesn't.
Yeah.
And I think there was a time where there was an educational assistant who I had a terrible time with, to be honest, and Karim did too. And then in the end, we had to have a committee come in to you know voice our concerns to this committee.
Yeah.
And when the committee came in and they you know supervised the classroom, she actually resigned. So that was kind of a realization to me that for me, I was trusting this person with my son for most of the day. But then I thought, no, you know, I should have more faith in my judgment, in my intuition. And if it's not right, then it's not right. So, but on the other hand, I had, you know, others who did help, others who thought, you know, Amal, what do you think? This is the information. Look at it and tell us what you think. You know, what do you think is best for you, for your family? So it was more family centered kind of care. And again, that was another form of learning for me. So, yes, I did have support from professionals at times, but at other times, there were professionals where I needed to trust my intuition with and put my foot down and decide, you know,
Yeah.
and voice
And
my concern.
you know, what about the children, like his classmates and the peers? Uh, maybe around your in your neighborhood or in the parks and or at the school, especially during lunch hours. How did it you know, what do you feel about it, how he interacted, and how was the response from other people, children
Well,
maybe?
children can be mean.
Yeah.
Children can be, you know what? They just you know we all have this animal instinct in us, right? We have prey and predator somehow, and we kind of struggle. At least that's what I believe that you know we have the good and the bad in us, and we and our struggle, you know, is the Islamic term that we call jihad, which everybody doesn't really know much, you know. The Hollywood unfortunately understanding is completely different from what it really is. It's that struggle of you know trying to be um, um, struggling with that, trying to you know the biases that we have, right? Struggling with the biases that we have, and actually coming and winning over them. So that's the work that we do, and unfortunately for little kids, you know, that's not a process that they understand, and sometimes they just act on that, you know, predator. So if they feel that somebody is less or doesn't hear or maybe you know doesn't see or has a visible you know diverse ability, they'll probably bully them. And it was the case with Karim. A lot of children did bully him, and unfortunately he was bullied for 3 months in fourth grade, and nobody told me except for a child of his, a mother of a child, who later told me that Karim was being bullied, and I couldn't understand why he was bullied for 3 months with the knowledge of his teacher, and that she could come and tell me. She didn't do anything about it. So these were, again, you know, it was a result, you know, the meeting after meeting was a result of this, and I had to speak to the principal. And again, it was a struggle. It wasn't easy. It wasn't like you drop off your child and then go home and pretend that everything's
Yes.
fine.
Yes.
It's not. But there were children who saw that in Karim, you know, and saw him as a friend. And he still has friends until this day, you know, in Ontario, that he still contacts. He has deaf friends now. He has, you know, normal hearing friends. So it's um, they're all, I guess, lessons for us, but it's just human nature, right? And it's how we deal with it, and how we basically deal with our expectations of people.
Yes, I remember that you had also taken up a program long back that was international development,
Mm-hmm.
and then all these things happened, and you also made that YouTube video, Sounds of the Heart. That's beautiful. I wish if it can be, spoken in English as well. Of course, I saw the translated, the material, and I just loved it. And how did NASMAI also begin? You started NASMAI Enterprise.
Yeah, so NASMAI Enterprise, I think, is a culmination of, you know, the knowledge and the experience and the skills that I somehow, you know, just basically acquired. And I just felt like every time I would sit with a mother raising a child with a disability, and we would, you know, kind of talk about it and share stories, and, you know, she would ask questions and I would answer. And I just felt like, you know, I remember when I had all these questions. I remember when I was, you know, alone and missing my mom, or missing my friends, or missing my, you know, my family back home. I remember when I did this on all on my own. I remember when I had to meal plan and clean and go to work and also raise my children. And I remember when I sometimes woke up in the morning and I didn't feel like seeing anyone, you know, and not even knowing that that was, you know, anxiety or maybe borderline depression. Mental health wasn't, we weren't aware of it as we are now in 2000, you know?
Yes.
Um, so, and actually, you know, sometimes we come from a culture where, you know, that's shameful. You can't say you can't wake up in the morning. You know, you've got 3 little children, wake up. What do you mean you can't wake up? You have to cook for them. You have to clean. You have to take care, make sure that they're, you know, wearing clean clothes, that they're well groomed, and so on. And if you didn't do that, then you're less.
Yes.
But only when you really give yourself time and you really try to understand where you are and why you were given this, and you start to really believe in, like, every opportunity that you're having is really for a reason, you know, put it together and you'll create this beautiful quilt, if you may, you know. And I think Sounds of the Heart was just that. It was, you know, my story from beginning to end, or I don't believe that there is an end to any story, but really my story from the beginning, where I was, you know, it says that my understanding of what communication was, it was really language. It wasn't sign language. You know, sign language was just romanticized.
Mm-hmm.
For us, it was like, you know, in the movies maybe, or something that you see, but you would never think of being part of your life and actually learning this. That was one thing. Another thing was, what choices do we make for Karim? And will they be the right choices, you know? And then speaking to other mothers, and really asking them just to take time to stop and drink some tea, go out with friends, you know? Don't think that you're holding the mountain up. You're not the one. It will be okay. Um, you know, things just work together simultaneously and it all falls into place. Yes, mom is the agent of change. At least that's what I believe. She is the dynamo, you know, of the family if she wants to be. No, and I'm not saying that she should have the sole responsibility of taking care of the family. That is not it. Actually, that's not what I did. I had a very supportive husband, you know, who worked things through with me. I had wonderful children who listened, and yes, they weren't, great all the time, but, we made it together. And I think trusting the process, trusting each other, and moving forward as learners together and being open, communicating, I think that's how it all happened. And enterprise and NASMAI actually is truly a family affair. I mean, excuse me, Sounds of the Heart, the little 5-minute mini movie is a family affair. It's really, my daughter Surur, the youngest, she's the one that did the subtitles in English. Keria kind of helped me with the iMovie and putting the bits and pieces together. And yeah, it was just a project of all of us. And Karim, of course, saw it, and I had to ask him if he was okay with that, because he's the community. The deaf community is the one that is the subject of the whole movie, and my husband also supporting me in that project. So I was lucky. I had that opportunity. Maybe other mothers are not, but that worked for me. And I feel like whatever works for other moms, I think that's the way to go. Check what you have, check what you can do, but you can do it, whatever it is that, believe in your vision.
Yes, maybe we will talk more about NASMAI next time. I really want to know, and I would like you to share more about this with other people as well.
Sure, yeah.
And thank you. So your final words for the women who are watching this, who would be encouraged by your hard work and your love and your dedication towards your children and family. What
Thank
would
you
you
so much.
say?
Yeah, actually, yeah, it's really believing in your ability. And I think it's really understanding who you are, understanding where you come from, embracing every little part of you and celebrating it. Sometimes as first generation immigrants, we navigate the systems, and we're always busy and rushing, and we sometimes forget about us and who we came from, or where we came from and who we are. Think about your goals, advocate for yourself, know that you have a voice. Read, gather as much information as you can. Find healing, whether it was through art, having a cup of tea in silence, walking, and tell your story. Don't be ashamed of your story. Your story is very valuable for others. Navigate the systems again, find your community, find people who encourage you, inspire you, look up to you. And yeah, it's nice to have that reciprocity, where you give and you take, and know that your memories matter. Your memories, your experiences matter. Own them, and make connections, and you will find meaning, true meaning to your experiences, and whatever you bring, it is of value. Never doubt that. Never doubt that.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing that. You said something before also that for the mothers, you're not holding the mountain alone. So that's so important, and trusting your gut feel is also another thing, that I also believe in. Yes. So looking forward to having another conversation with you, Amal.
Thank you very much, Kamaljit. I enjoyed that, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. It was wonderful having this chat with you.
Yeah, thank you. We'll meet again, and
great.
I will just close this. Yeah, so it was good. Thank you so much again.
You're very welcome.
And we will talk again. I will share this with you. And let's see.
Sure.
I will share the write-up also with you. Let
Sure.
me know what I'm writing is all right. And I forgot to talk about the group, but I will mention it in my notes there.
Yeah. Okay.
And let's see. But thank you so much. Even my son has gone through a lot. in school, and that's why I'm very passionate about it. I'll share it sometime.
I'm sorry to hear about that. I know it's, you know, just last weekend, I was with a mother and we created this support circle, and her son is with cerebral palsy and autistic. The education assistant in his room slapped him across the face in November. And it was just heart-wrenching to hear stories like this still happening. And with the principal trying to cover it up and saying, well, you know, don't talk about it because then it's not going to look good on our school. How is that?
They do it
how
all
is
the
that
time.
acceptable?
They do it all the time. There was one of my clients in VLMFS. She has a child with a disability, and she separated, and it was a nightmare what she went through.
Oh,
But she has come out of it. She's a brave young woman, and you know, she's of course taking care of her child as well. She's working towards becoming a nurse, and really working hard towards it. And I hope, you know, when I think of all of us as mothers, we have a lot to contribute, and more than that, I think we need to be happy and ground ourselves, you know, not holding the mountain alone. I really love that.
We deserve it. We deserve it for sure.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah. All right, Amal, I'll let you go. Thank you. I love you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Kamaljit. Same here. All my love and all my respect. Thank you. You have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Take care.